You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk. And I'm going to start by previewing the first Eastern Conference play-in tournament in NBA history. I cannot say that about the Western Conference because there was a play-in tournament in the bubble last year. But like I said, that was just for the Western Conference. The Eastern Conference, there was no need for a play-in tournament. This year, both conferences get it. And it seems like it's here to stay for the long run. It seems like Adam Silver is very happy with it. People have asked me what I've thought of the play-in tournament. Look, it's doing what the NBA wants. It's making more teams play meaningful games. So you're not having teams tank games. Teams aren't holding back their players. Those guys are pushing it a little bit more than they would in a lost season. It's doing what the NBA wants. And I do think we're gonna get it permanently. See, the thing is, the NBA has the biggest tanking problem in the four major sports. You do have teams throw away seasons. You do have teams not being aggressive in free agency. I mean, take a look at what the Orlando Magic did. They traded their whole roster. The Pistons tanked the season. The Thunder tanked the season. I can hear some people now saying, well, baseball has the same issue. Baseball does have that issue, but not as much as the NBA. See, here's the thing. In the MLB, it's easier to go with a youth movement. You have a true minor league system. You can develop your prospects the way that you want to. You're not forced into playing them right away. The NBA, you don't have that luxury. Okay, people are going to bring up the G League. No. That's not a true minor league. For some players it works. I don't want to make the general statement that the G League doesn't work, period, but it's not as useful for young talent as you'd like it to be in a perfect world. If it was, then we would have seen a lot of last year's rookies get a lot better. You didn't see that. The only way to really go with a youth movement is to play your young players 20 to 30 minutes a game. you're going to lose a lot of games because of that. That leads to accusations of tanking. Now, is it tanking to play your young draft picks a lot? It depends on who you ask. I'll say this. If it's painfully clear that young gun X isn't ready for the NBA, he's making a lot of mistakes, he's not shooting the ball well, he's turning the ball over a lot, getting into foul trouble a lot, but you keep playing him, yeah, that's probably tanking. The NBA has dealt with that problem for a long time. They still have it, there's no question, but the play-in tournament has stopped some of it. That's a job well done. Now, I'll say this about the play-in tournament. This is the big negative to me. Let's look at the Western Conference. The 10 seed is the San Antonio Spurs. They finished with a 33-39 record. They lost their last 4 games. They were not a good team this year. They went 2-8 in their last 10. Bad team. But they're in the play-in tournament. They have a chance to be the 8 seed. It's an uphill climb. There's no question. But that possibility still exists. I'll give you one other thing with the Spurs. The 9 seed is the Memphis Grizzlies. They finished 38-34. They were 5 games up on the Spurs. It is clear that the Memphis Grizzlies are a better team than the San Antonio Spurs. Why do they need to play the Spurs? You want to tell me, oh Jacob, if the Grizzlies are that much better than the Spurs, the Grizzlies should have no problem winning that game? Realize, you're boiling everything down to just one game. Did you see what happened 2 months ago in March Madness? All the upsets you saw? Any team can be better than any other team on any given day of the week. If the Utah Jazz were to play the Houston Rockets, let's say 10 times, the Rockets win at least one. Okay, it's the law of averages. I'll do you one better. The Lakers are set to face the Warriors. The winner of that game gets the 7 seed. The Lakers finished with 42 wins. The Warriors finished with just 39. Why do the Lakers need to play the Warriors? It's clear that the Lakers are better. LeBron doesn't like the play-in tournament. He's not wrong. The Lakers shouldn't be in it. What it should be is the Warriors should be going up against the Grizzlies. The winner of that game is the 8 seed. The Eastern Conference, I don't mind. That's really tight. It was tight all year. I don't mind that. I think there should be a limit to when the play-in tournament gets used. There is no reason that the San Antonio Spurs, a team that finished 6 games under 500, should have a chance to be the 8 seed. They're going up against the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies finished over 500. So did the Lakers, and so did the Warriors. It's clear that the Spurs are the inferior team. Any NBA fan could tell you that. My issue isn't even with under 500 teams making the playoffs. Some people have an issue with it. I really don't. We have that in football. Sometimes we have it in hockey if you combine regulation losses with overtime losses. I really don't mind that. But there should be some kind of a limit. Like, I don't mind it in the Eastern Conference. The Celtics finished 36-36. The Hornets finished 33-39. That's a 3-game difference. I don't mind that. You want to tell me that the demarcation line should be between 8-10 or 9-10? I get that. I just have an issue with the Spurs being in the hunt. I mean, wouldn't you prefer a 1-game playoff between the Warriors and Grizzlies for the 8th seed? Isn't that better than having the Lakers fight for the right that they should already have? Isn't that better than giving the Spurs a chance to get something that they shouldn't have the opportunity to get? There should be a limit on when the play-in tournament is triggered. If you're X number of games back, you're out of it. I understand that we kinda curbed tanking a little bit. It's still there, but not as much as it's been in years past. That's progress. I get that. I like that. But you've done that at the expense of cheapening the playoffs. You want to tell me that this isn't the playoffs? It kind of is. Let me ask you this. The first 4 of March Madness, is that part of March Madness? Same principle. Those teams are fighting for 11 and 16 seeds. You're telling me that's not part of the big dance? Sure it is. Those games are nationally televised. The University of Dayton gets excited for it. Yeah, these are playoff games. The Spurs shouldn't be in the playoffs. And the Lakers shouldn't have to fight for their right to be in the quote-unquote real playoffs. Okay, I know I kind of shoehorned that in there, went down the rabbit hole a little bit. Back-to-back days that I've done that. I usually don't do that. Thing is, though, I've wanted to voice my opinion on the play-in tournament for a while. I just couldn't find the right time to do it. So I figured I would do it today when the play-in tournament is going to start with Hornets Pacers. If the Hornets are going to win this game, they have to play through the perimeter. Play through their guards. Realize Gordon Hayward is still out. So the 3 best Hornets are all guards. Terry Rozier, LaMelo Ball, and Devontae Graham. In fact, what I've wanted to see the Hornets do for a while is experiment with some 3-guard lineups. You're not going to do that tonight in a must-win game. But LaMelo's 6'6". That's the same height as Joe Harris. You're telling me he can't play the 3? You can put Terry Rozier at the 2. The Hornets have done that all year. And then you put Graham at the 1. Start your best players. I understand having Devontae Graham as the 6th man is lethal. Most teams would kill for a guy like that. I like Graham, very underrated. But I'd rather see the Hornets start their best players. I'd want to see if those 3 guys could play together. Obviously, though, you're not going to see that experiment tonight in a must-win game. As for the Pacers, it's tough. They've been banged up all year. Just look at the 6 guys who didn't play for the Pacers on Sunday against the Raptors. Jeremy Lamb, Aaron Holiday, T.J. Warren, Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner, and Edmund Sumner. I'm excluding Cassius Stanley and Amita Brima because those guys are schmagekis. Those 6 guys are incredibly important to the Pacers. They all play a ton of minutes. They take a lot of shots. T.J. Warren, as we all know, plays well with the lights on bright. He's bubble Jesus. I mean, I'll say this. It's possible that Aaron Holiday and Edmund Sumner could play. They're both listed as questionable. But neither one of those guys are as good as Karis LeVert, who, it was just announced, is in the health and safety protocols. He's out tonight. So you're going to have a less than 100% Aaron Holiday, assuming he plays. You're going to have a less than 100% Edmund Sumner, assuming he plays. You have Domantas Sabonis, who's great. Don't get me wrong. But when he's playing with a banged-up Holiday, a banged-up Sumner, Doug McDermott, O'Shea Brissett, and Justin Holiday, that's not going to end well. If the Pacers are going to have any chance of winning this game, channel all your energy into tonight. I know that there have been rumors of locker room dysfunction. You saw Greg Foster, one of the assistant coaches for the Pacers, really giving it to Miles Turner the other day. And obviously, the Pacers are banged up. But you know what? These role players, guys like McDermott, Brissett, Justin Holiday, they're now on death ground. If they lose this game, that's it. They're out. They have a chance to stake their claim for a bigger role on a team next year. So look, if you play through Sabonis and he goes off, and you've got the role players contributing, maybe you can do this. You are going to see 2 different styles. You're going to see a guard-heavy offense from the Hornets and a front-court-heavy offense from the Pacers. Ultimately, though, I think that the Pacers are just too banged up. They're without 4 of their 5 best players. Brogdon, LeVert, Warren, and Turner are all out. I mean, the Pacers have dealt with injuries all year, and they've survived. I get that. But I don't see that happening here. Give me the Hornets. Moving on now to Celtics Wizards. Speaking of banged up teams. I mean, the Pacers are much more banged up than the Celtics, don't get me wrong, but still, the Celtics are without Jaylen Brown. That's going to be tough. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I like to start with the away team because that's how the game is stylized. The away team is listed first and the home team is listed second. So, I'll start with the Wizards. It's pretty simple what the Wizards need to do. It's going to sound obvious, but it's the truth. Play through your two stars. Play through Beal, the guy who finished second in scoring this year, to Steph Curry, and play through Russell Westbrook, one of the most dominant point guards in NBA history. As much as I don't like Westbrook, he is one of the best point guards ever. That's just fact. He's a future Hall of Famer. I just don't like him because he can't win with him. I don't like Westbrook because he hasn't altered his game to winning. He's concerned more about individual stats than he is about winning. Okay, that's just fact. I don't like guys like that. Chris Russo tells this story sometimes. Ted Williams was just concerned about his individual stats, hitting .406 in a season, winning the Triple Crown twice, winning batting titles, winning MVPs, being the best hitter ever. Thing is, though, he only played in one World Series, and even then, he wasn't good in that World Series. Joe DiMaggio had his fair share of individual accomplishments. He had more MVPs than Williams, obviously the 56-game hitting streak, but he won 9 World Series. He played in 10. To put that into perspective, Joe DiMaggio won more World Series than the number of World Series games that Ted Williams played in. Think about that. Russell Westbrook is Ted Williams. It's great to be Ted Williams. Ted Williams is a Hall of Famer. The greatest Red Sox ever. But wouldn't you rather be DiMaggio? Wouldn't you want to take a little bit of a step back and win? That's what I don't like about Westbrook. But look, the Wizards need to play through their guards. It's just that simple. Play through Beal and play through Westbrook. I know it's obvious, but it's the truth. I can't make stuff up. As for the Celtics, I actually don't think they're going to be incredibly hurt by the Brown injury. I'm not knocking Brown. Great player. But they did trade for Evan Fournier at the deadline. Fournier is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. Kemba Walker's back. Marcus Smart is back. Obviously, you have Jason Tatum. I really think the Celtics are going to be fine. If the Celtics are going to win this game, I'd like them to go small. I want to see a starting 5 of Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Evan Fournier, Jason Tatum, and either Robert Williams or Tristan Thompson. I really don't care. What you'll do is you'll stretch out the Wizards' defense. The Wizards are not a good defensive team. They rank dead last in the NBA in points per game given up. They've given up 118.5. So if you go small, I don't see how the Wizards can beat you. Look to outscore them. Don't look to hold Beal and Westbrook to subpar performances because they're too good. They're going to get theirs. Can Westbrook no-show in a big game? Sure he can. I've seen him do that before. He did it in the bubble against the Lakers twice. I know that I kinda hemmed and hawed a little bit on whether I'd rather face the Celtics or the Wizards as a Nets fan. Eventually I settled on the Wizards. But I don't see that happening. Truthfully, I think this could be a blowout. I don't like how the Wizards match up against the Celtics. I think we're going to see a Nets-Celtics Eastern Conference quarterfinals. How great would that be? Kyrie Irving going up against his old team, and the Nets going up against the Celtics after the dreadful Pierce and Garnett trade. That's how the Hollywood movie would be written, let me tell you. Alright, now I'll give you some NHL Valk talk. And I'll start by recapping the 3 Stanley Cup playoff games that we saw yesterday. I'll start with Bruins Capitals. Really a back and forth game. You were on the edge of your seat the whole game. A lot of shots. A lot of action. Not a lot of hits, though. Very interesting. Game 1 was very physical. Game 2, not as physical. Kind of interesting how things like that work out. What did I say yesterday? If the Capitals wanted to win this game, they had to get out to a first period lead. They didn't. They let the Bruins get some really good opportunities. They scored 2 goals. They had 18 shots in the first period. That's inexcusable. Now, granted, the Capitals also had 18, but the Bruins have Tuukka Rask in net. The Capitals have Craig Anderson. A slugfest isn't going to play out well for the Caps. Bad job by their defense. I mean, John Carlson, who I really like, he had a bad game. Turned the puck over to Taylor Hall. Hall nearly had a breakaway. Carlson ended up tripping Hall. Hall nearly got a penalty shot out of it. He wanted it. I'll tell you, live time, the thought went through my head. That could be a penalty shot. I mean, the penalty happened outside the blue line. So, that's kind of tough. But it was, at the very least, debatable. The thought had to go through your head. Then on the ensuing power play, the Bruins end up with a golden opportunity. David Pastrnak with a wide open net, and Nick Jensen made the save. Jensen was like the only good Capitals defenseman yesterday. He made this incredible stick save. I don't know why Pastrnak didn't elevate it. I mean, Craig Anderson is an aggressive goalie. We know this. The Bruins did a good job of taking advantage of that. The best Capital on the ice yesterday was Garnett Hathaway. It's not even close. He had 2 goals, 5 hits, 2 blocked shots in just under 13 minutes of ice time. The fourth line for the Capitals has been nothing short of incredible through these first couple games. Nick Dowd had the game winner in overtime in Game 1. Garnett Hathaway with 2 goals yesterday. Carl Hagelin has been playing good hockey. Everyone's been focusing on, the top 6 for the Caps. It's really that fourth line that's been carrying them this series. Then this is what happens when you don't have a marquee goalie in net. Less than 3 minutes left in regulation. There's a loose puck. Taylor Hall shot it. Craig Anderson couldn't control the rebound. There's a scrum in the blue paint. Hall ends up going behind the net. He's really not involved in the scrum a lot. Then he sees the puck pop out, and he shoots it home. Ties the game at 3. Then all the momentum goes to the Bruins. Less than a minute into overtime, a great passing play by the Bruins leads to a Brad Marchand overtime winner. Say what you want about Marchand, but he's incredibly skilled. He takes you off watching him play, but man alive, is he a talented hockey player. Good win for the Bruins. They really needed it. I don't care that they were going back to Beantown. To be down 2-0 in a series is really tough. They needed that win yesterday, and they got it. Give them credit. Moving on now to Predators Hurricanes. A very, very surprising game. I did not expect the Hurricanes to outplay the Predators as much as they did. Are the Hurricanes capable of outplaying you? Yes, they're a good team. We know this. But to get outplayed that much? That's a bad job by the Predators. You know what? That rockin' crowd that was at the PNC Arena yesterday made a huge difference. There were 12,000 people in that arena. That's the biggest crowd that an NHL game has had all year. I mean, I'll give the Predators credit. They kept it close through the first 2 periods, but they were getting incredibly outplayed. They got outshot every period. Then in the third period, the Hurricanes put their foot on the throat of the Predators and didn't let up. They scored 3 goals in the third period. The eventual game winner went to Nino Niederreiter, who I hate. He's a former Islander, does nothing for him, gets traded to the Wild for Cal Clutterbuck. Nothing against Clutterbuck, I like Clutterbuck. But Niederreiter has turned into a much better player. Jordan Stahl had 2 goals. Andrei Svechnikov had the empty netter. This was just a thrashing by the Hurricanes. From the word go, they outplayed the Predators. It's kind of funny. This is the only first-round matchup that could double as a Stanley Cup Finals matchup in any other year. The Hurricanes played like a team that could win it all. Moving on now to Blues Avalanche. And your heart has to break for Jordan Binnington. I don't want to hear anyone say that Binnington played like garbage because he gave up 3 goals. I'm not saying I've seen that. I haven't. but I'm sure there's at least one idiot out there that said that. That person's a moron. Okay, it's just that simple. Jordan Binnington had one of the best games of the playoffs so far. The guy faced 49 shots and stopped 46. Some of those saves were highlight reel saves. I mean, that 2-on-0 that Kadri and Rantanen had. How did Binnington stop that puck? That's one of the greatest saves you'll see all year. How was he able to get his pad up and stop that? There's no wasted movement. There's no panic. There's nothing. It's a set play between Kadri and Rantanen. And somehow Binnington stopped it. But you know what? Everyone's human. If Garrett Cole can blink, Jordan Binnington can blink. To close out the second period, Binnington stoned Tyson Jost on a breakaway. Right there, I thought, you know what? This is going to be a 2-1 Blues victory in overtime. There's no way that Binnington is letting anything past him. But Mikko Rantanen made a pass that the Blues defense should have stopped. They didn't. Nate McKinnon sniped home the one-timer. Give Binnington credit. He was still standing on his head. He made a nice stop on a deflection from Brandon Saad. But then Gabriel Landeskog completed the Gordie Howe hat trick with a really nice deflection. Look, that Blues Avalanche game was exciting. You were into it because Binnington was playing so well. If the Blues had anyone else in net, they may have lost 10-1. I'm completely serious. That's how incredible Binnington was. I mean, truthfully, what that game proved is that the Avalanche are leaps and bounds better than the Blues. I gave them a game. I'm not feeling too good about that. Maybe Binnington can steal one, but if he faces 50 shots again, I don't see it. But now it's time to preview tonight's 3 Stanley Cup playoff games. I'll start with Islanders Penguins. Ilya Sorokin is going to start. There are 2 things that need to be done if the Islanders are going to win this game. Number 1, Matthew Barzal needs to get his head screwed on straight because he had a terrible game. I don't think he had a single shot on Sunday. That cannot happen again. He is the Islanders' best player. I understand that the Islanders play the whole is greater than the sum of its parts type game, but still, you want your stars to step up. Barzal is the closest thing to a star that the Islanders have. He's got to step it up. Also, if Sorokin gets a third period lead, I don't care if it's a 1-goal lead with 20 minutes left to go in the third period. He's got to shut the door. Okay? The Islanders, I don't want to say they got lucky to win game 1 because that's not true. But if you allow the game-tying goal 30 seconds after you score a go-ahead goal, it's tough to say you deserve to win that game. I'm happy they got the win, don't get me wrong. Look, if the Islanders win tonight, they're winning the series. There is no way that the Penguins are going to be able to come back in that series with the Islanders having 3 home games. If Ilya Sorokin gets a third period lead, he needs to hold it. It's just that simple. Everyone said he played great on Sunday. No, he didn't. Not even close. He was solid. It wasn't bad. Wasn't great, though. Definitely not. If he wants to play great, hold a third period lead. As for the Penguins, they need to get more physical. They got out hit 72-47 on Sunday. Now, granted, there weren't any, bone-crunching hits from the Islanders, but still, you can't get out hit 72-47 and expect to win. Also, the Penguins took their foot off the gas in the third period. The Islanders outplayed the Penguins by a wide margin in the third period. That can't happen again if you're the Penguins. Look, I picked the Penguins in 6 before this series started. If the Islanders win tonight, that's not going to happen. The Islanders are going to win this series. So you can bet that I'm going to be rooting for the Islanders harder than anyone. But because I picked the Penguins in 6, I'm going to hold true to that. Give me the Penguins. Moving on now to Lightning Panthers, and I give Joel Quenneville a ton of credit. What did I say yesterday? Chris Drieger's going to need to start a game. Did I think it was going to be tonight? No. But that's what's happening. Chris Drieger's going to start tonight. That's the right decision. I don't care what anyone says. Sergei Bobrovsky is not a money goalie. He's overpaid. He chokes under the bright lights. The Islanders really dodged a bullet in not signing him. They wanted Bobrovsky. They didn't get him. Thank God they got Varlamov. Some people said that the Panthers should start Spencer Knight. Look, I like Knight. He's probably the best goalie prospect in the NHL. But he's only played in 4 games this year. Now, granted, he's 4-0, which is really incredible. And you want to tell me that the Capitals won with Craig Anderson in Game 1, he only played in 4 games? I get that, but Anderson has a lot more experience under his belt than Knight. It's the right decision to start Drieger. It's his birthday. He's going to be motivated. He's going to want to prove to everyone that he's a legitimate starting goalie. And you know what? We've seen these backups come out of nowhere, play really well in the playoffs, and get starting jobs. Jordan Binnington is one of those guys. I was going to say that if the Panthers want to win this game, they've got to have Bobrovsky on a short leash. Doesn't get any shorter than not starting him. So yeah, great job by Quenneville. Took the words right out of my mouth. If the Lightning are going to win, I'd like for them to put a lot of pucks on net, test Drieger early, see if he wilts under the bright lights. Do I think he will? No, but you never know with a goalie who's starting his first ever playoff game. So be aggressive, put pucks on net, don't shy away from the physical play. If there's going to be a fight, you better win it. This is going to be a fun game. And you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the Panthers with the backup goalie in net. The Panthers will beat the defending Stanley Cup champs. The last game to talk about is Wild Golden Knights. The biggest thing that the Wild can do is to support their goalie more. Cam Talbot had to make 42 saves on Sunday. He pitched a shutout. He was fantastic. But the Wild really didn't help him out a lot. I didn't like their defense. They got outshot 19-5 in the first period. They only had 30 shots total. Keep the puck in Vegas's end. Let Talbot catch his breath. Put more pucks on net. As for the Golden Knights, I'd like them to play a little chippier. Try to wear Talbot down. Maybe get in his crease. Maybe snow him a couple times. Maybe give him a whack or two with the stick after the whistle. Try to throw him off his game. Because the way that Talbot played on Sunday, he's unbeatable. You've got to throw him off his game somehow. I'd say put pucks on net, but he stopped 42 shots. So you've got to try something else. See if you can throw Talbot off. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to sneak some pucks by him. All in all, I don't see the Golden Knights losing 2 straight at home. I do think this will be another low-scoring game. The highest I could see this going would be 3-2. The over-under on this game is 5.5. Take the under and give me Vegas. Until tomorrow, I am Jacob Valk saying that being traded is like celebrating your 100th birthday. It might not be the happiest occasion in the world, but it's better than the alternative.